Welcome everybody to a new analysis of Tradomics. This is the episode 68 and it's focused on the most important US banks. Before starting this video analysis, I would recommend you to subscribe to our channel to get the notification as soon as possible regarding the stocks that we have in focus. And if you like to have additional ad hoc analysis that are not shown on this YouTube channel, you can write us at tradomica@gmail.com in order to have more information about personalized and customized videos. Having said that, let's have a look at the first stock of of this episode, which is Blackrock. So, according to the last video analysis, and also to the latest episode, not just the last one, we were flagging the possibility to continue to have a solid uptrend because this T plus 5 upward cycle, yearly cycle, is a positive one, and therefore is going to seek the all-time highs for a duration encompassed between 190 and 338 days. So 190 days means that this uptrend can still proceed to the upside at least until the 6th of December 2024, in which we will have the minimum duration of a T plus 5 upward cycle. The duration you have it also always here on the right hand side, it's between 190 and 338 days. Of course, by the 6th of December, we're going to have the minimum duration, but we have also a long time to go as the median duration is 254 days and the maximum duration 338, which means that the trend can continue beyond the 2025 Q1. So if we actually um, have a let's say, midterm scenario in which we can proceed to the uptrend towards the median duration. This can last until the second week of March 2025. And in the best case scenario, we can proceed to the uptrend until 338 days, which means that we can proceed very early until 2025, exactly by July 15 of July 2025. So here we have a long time to proceed to the uptrend, but we have also to take into consideration the downward cycles. So regarding the downward cycles from this low, we have T plus 5 downward cycle that now has reached a total duration 270 days. So also in this case, we can proceed to 338 days, excluding BoA tongues. So which means that we can have the closing of this downward cycle by the 5th of March 2025. But in order to close the T plus 5, we need a subcycle of 3 degrees less, which is a T plus 2 that has to be negative. Therefore, we need to have the beginning um, of the retracement of the end of the tail of this T plus 5 to start at least a month before, or 2-3 weeks before. Therefore, here, given that we have reached a duration of 270 days, we have to bear in mind what we can start preparing this retracement phase in order to close this T plus 5 before commencing a new one. Okay, so from this stop has to be monitored closely, because from here we can start a retracement phase that can allow the closing of the T plus 5. We are actually going toward the tail of this cycle because we are going toward the maximum duration. Okay, so let's see whether in the next weeks this uh, top will not be broken, and therefore if will not be broken, then from this top we can start not just a T plus 2 but eventually a T plus 3, which is a 3 months cycle, or even a T plus 4, because now we have reached 170 days. 170 days is basically a T plus 4 hybrid cycle. Okay, so after a t plus 4, we can also foresee another t plus 3 or t plus 4. Therefore, that retracement needs to be so needs to be monitored over time, and such retracement to allow a t plus 2 or t plus 3 or a t plus 4 will also um, um, developed the tail of the t plus 5 to close the cycle as well. Okay, so midterm uptrend, and over the short term, let's have a look at the potential retracement. Our first checkpoint level is here at $969.54, and the second level is here at $918.96. Okay, so these are the level to monitor, and if you want to have additional ones for the potential retracement that can start from this top, here we have 952 and 881. Okay, so these are the two main additional targets that I can give you. Having said that, let's move to the next one, which is Blackstone. On Blackstone, we have basically a similar situation compared to Blackrock. So even in this case, we have reached a total duration of this positive T plus 5 upward cycle of 172 days. Therefore, we can continue at least until the first week of December to proceed to the rally. At the same time, here we have a total duration for this T plus 3 at 81 bars. So here we are lagging a little bit compared to BlackRock, because actually BlackRock has already a new high and started the retracement. And here on Blackstone, we haven't reached the top yet, because potentially here we can proceed to the upside again for the next week, as here we have 81 days, but we know that a T plus 3 can reach 89 days. So therefore, here we can continue to proceed to the upside until the 4th of December 2024. The longer we are, the more we are reaching the maximum duration, the less probable it is to proceed to the upside. So therefore, you have to be aware already that from next week we can start a retracement. Start the retracement for having another new upward cycle that might be a T plus 2 or T plus 3. We are expecting more than a T plus 1, like in this case and this case. If we also gauge the total duration here, we have 172 days, so potentially we can start even a T plus 4 hybrid cycle. So therefore, be careful for the next week and the next, not just the next week, but the next few weeks. And considering also the downward cycles, from this low that occurred on the 27th of October 2023, we have reached 270 days. So we might start having a new upward cycle that might be a T plus 3 or T plus 4. And as said also for BlackRock, this beginning of the retracement can allow also the closing of a T plus 5, as now we are approaching the tail of this T plus 5, and in order to close a T plus 5, we need a 3 degrees subcycle negative cycle. So a T plus 2 that has to be negative. So therefore, a T plus 2 can be can have a shape of this kind. This will be positive, but also we can attach another negative one, and therefore with a T plus 2 negative cycle, we can close the T plus 5. Okay, so be careful from next week onwards, because we can start a retracement to start closing the T plus 5 and having another T plus 3 or T plus 4 upward cycle. Again, as said for BlackRock, here we have key target levels. The first one is $172.18, and the other one $155.74. Regarding the swing, one of the critical one, or at least one of the most important checkpoint over the short term, is here at $176.16, and the second one eventually as this one at $146.22. So having said that, let's move to the next one. The next bank is JP Morgan. According to the last analysis what we issued here, we were foreseeing a new T plus something upward cycle, and after a total duration of 31 bars, this top was broken up with this candle occurred on the 14th of October 2024. Now, considering that we have spent 31 bars below this top, so basically the duration of a T plus 2, this top can be defined as a T plus 4 upward cycle. For a matter of being conservative, I would define this top as a T plus 3, T plus 4. So we have the condition for this cycle to be a T plus 4, but it's also a T plus 3 because, of course, we have spent 31 days, which is a duration of a T plus 4 at most, but also we can consider it as a T plus 3. I consider this one as a T plus 3 because T plus 3, T plus 4, and I stay conservative because now here we are having 333 bars. So basically here we are approaching the maximum duration of this T plus 5. And because we are approaching the maximum duration of a T plus 5, if this is a T plus 4, we would go definitely beyond the maximum duration of a T plus 4, of a T plus 5. Because here we have reached already 59 bars, but the minimum duration of a T plus 4 is 89. So this will end on the 8th of January 2025. Do we have time to proceed to the rally until the 8th of January 2025 according to our duration? The answer is no, because we would reach a duration of 364 bars. So this is why here I tend to consider this top as a T plus 3 and not rather than a T plus 4. So what we can say regarding JP Morgan is that we are really close to the maximum duration of a T plus 5. Actually, the maximum duration will be signed on the 29th of November 2024. Considering this one more a T plus 3 than a T plus 4, here we have a total duration now of 60 bars. Okay, so we are going toward the median duration of this T plus 3, but we are reaching the maximum duration of this T plus 5. So what can happen? It can happen that after the maximum duration of this T plus 5, so basically by the end of next week, the next week will start a new T plus 5. So therefore, harsh retracement to the downside. Or the second scenario would be to have what? A Bayer tongue between a T plus 5 and another T plus 5. So basically, end of the T plus 5 plus another Bayer tongue of 3 degrees less, which is another T plus 2. This will allow to proceed to the upside the rally. And then after this extra stretch or time stretch, then the beginning of another T plus 5 upward cycle. And the beginning of a T plus 5 upward cycle can cause a retracement for at least 3 months. Okay. And such retracement, as said also for the other banks, will allow the closing of the T plus 5. Okay. If you have followed the other two video analysis, on Blackrock and Blackstone, the T plus 5 upward cycle was defined after the the T plus 5 downward cycle. Here we have exactly the opposite situation. So the T plus 5 upward cycle commenced before the T plus 5 downward cycle. That's why here for the upward cycle, we have definitely less time to proceed to the uptrend, and the T plus 5 here can have more time to proceed to the downtrend or to complete the tail of this T plus 5, okay, of this cycle. Considering now the duration here, we have reached 270 days. So basically it's the same of the others, but here the T plus 5 as upward cycle has definitely less time to proceed to the uptrend. So you see the differences. Same situation in terms of time for the downward cycles compared to Blackrock and Blackstone, but definitely less time for the upward cycle, which means that we cannot proceed to the uptrend until or even beyond the 2025, reaching at least the Q1 2025. So JP Morgan is definitely more stretching time, and we can see a beginning of a retracement definitely before BlackRock and Blackstone. Okay, so now be aware that we are approaching the maximum duration, and therefore for the next week, either we can continue a little bit to the upside, but then we will expect a retracement to the downside. Okay. So that is the situation we can read through our methodology T cycle analysis on JP Morgan. Let's continue to the next bank, which is Bank of America. Regarding Bank of America, according to the last analysis that we issued, I left intentionally the arrows here. We were expecting a prosecution to the upside because this T plus 1, T plus 2 upward cycle was broken with this top and therefore turn into a positive one. I added up whether to consider this top as a T plus 1, T plus 2, but now the market reveal additional information. From this top to this top, actually, there are 30 bars. So this was not just a T plus 1, but a T plus 2. So the color was right, even. And now we can update the chart. T plus 2, so first T plus 2, when we have add the second T plus 2, and now with the second T plus 2, we have reached a duration of 29 days. Okay, so if we want to gauge the total duration from this top here, we have, as for Friday's candle, 93 bars. So 93 bars is the duration of a T plus 3 hybrid. So we are heading towards a T plus 4. Now the thing is that this cycle here has turned into a positive one. And the question is this a T plus 5? Because if this is a T plus 5 and now it's turned into a positive one, then we have until 190 days to proceed to the uptrend. Okay, so basically, considering that we have reached 93 bars, we have slightly less than 100 days to continue to the uptrend, which is definitely a lot. Is this a T plus 5? Well, considering the other banks here, the challenge is that we don't have really a T plus 5 upward cycle that has started before, let's say in 2023. Because from this T plus 5, which is of course the upward cycle here, we have had the first T plus 4 at 174 bars. Then we have had another T plus 4 here with 132 bars, and the last one is 116 bars. So if we consider the total duration from this top to this top, we have a T plus 6. So the T plus 6 is 2 years. So the challenge on Bank of America is that we cannot split 2 years upward cycle in two different yearly cycles. So therefore, we don't have a specific reference as standard T plus 5. So therefore, I would consider, in order to be conservative, not a T plus 5, but a T plus 4, eventually T plus 5, so that the duration to continue to the uptrend as in the mid-case scenario until a median duration of a T plus 5. So here we can reach or we can proceed to the rally in the mid-case scenario until 17th of January 2025. In the worst case scenario, basically, it will be 94 days. So basically, by Tuesday, 26th of November, we can have a top. Okay, we can have a top like this and then start a retracement. This would also make sense because this T plus 5 has now reached a duration of 270 days, so as all like the others. So here, what we can project is to have again room to continue to the uptrend. The worst case scenario would be by Tuesday. But if we want to consider a mid-case scenario, that would be until, as said, until mid of January, okay, or beginning of January, but by beginning of mid of January. And after that, then beginning of the retracement, which will be the tail of this T plus 5. And such retracement will allow also to close the yearly cycle, okay? So be careful, as said also for the other banks, then a retracement might start in December, from December onwards, okay? So that is an information that you have to bear in mind, considering the downward cycle more on the short term. Here we have at the closing of this T plus 3 after 63 bars, and now a new 3 month cycle is in development, okay? But you have to consider this scenario to manage correctly your positions, okay? So similar situation as for BlackRock and Blackstone, um, where the downward cycle have basically the same duration. But here for the yearly upward cycle, then be careful for the retracement in the next month, okay? So let's move to the next one, which is Citi Group. So last analysis on Citigroup was correct because here we basically draw this upward cycle in this way, and therefore, given that it was positive, here we have reached with this candle on the 15th of October the top that signed the end of the second T plus 2. Which was made after 32 bars. So now here we can basically have another T plus 2, and this T plus 2 turn it into a positive one. And also with this positive T plus 2, because now we have absolute tops that broke up this top after or before its minimum duration. And now here we have 29 days. So by beginning of the next week, we can start a retracement, or we can start having a downtrend to begin another T plus 2 eventually. If we gauge the total duration from this top, here we have reached 91 days. So 91 days or 91 bars, which is close to, which is basically a duration of a T plus 3 hybrid cycle. So therefore, we can also close a T plus 3 hybrid cycle and start another T plus 3 or T plus 4 eventually. So here you have to be also careful that retracement might start soon by the beginning of next week or the week after. Another important consideration that we can make on Citigroup is that here we have potentially a T plus 5 upward cycle that has turned into a positive one. In this case, compared to the other banks, here we have more evidence that this is a T plus 5 because the total duration from the previous T plus 5 made on the 2nd of February 2023 reached a total duration of 327 bars plus a Bayer tongue of a T plus 2. So this is a standard, let's say, situation in which we have a T plus 5 upward cycle plus an extra time a T plus 2 Bayer tongue and now a new T plus 5. Okay, so here is more, the situation is more, let's say, readable, or it's more easy to analyze. Therefore, on Citigroup, we might have prosecution to the uptrend, and such prosecution to the uptrend can last in the worst case scenario until 190 bars or 190 days, which is between 20 to 21st of April 2025 if we consider minimum duration. Okay. In the meantime, given that the T plus 5 downward cycle has started definitely before the T plus 5 upward cycle, we will need to close the T plus 5 downward cycle. Okay. So as for the other banks, we will need to complete the tail of this T plus 5. Let's see if we have reached 270 days as the others. And the answer is more or less yes. So here we have 273 days. So as you can see, all the banks have started the yearly downward cycle basically in the same week, which was the week of the between the 23rd of October and the 20 and the 30 31st of October. Okay, so in this week, basically, we have had the beginning of the T plus 5 downward cycle for all the banks in focus. Okay, so that's the situation we have on Citigroup. So more uptrend rather than downtrend for a midterm scenario, but over the short term, be careful because by beginning of next week or the week after, we can start having a retracement for a new upward cycle. We still have room to continue to the uptrend for this T plus 2 because we can have 44 bars, but this will be the best case scenario, and 44 bars means that we can proceed to the uptrend straight away until the 17th of September 2024. But bear in mind that this is gonna start maybe even before the maximum duration. Okay. Last but not least, let's move to the last one, which is Goldman Sachs. For Goldman Sachs, we have also in this case a nice uptrend. We were forecasting a cycle of this kind, and here we were saying whether this was a T plus 5 or not. So given that now even this cycle turned into a positive one, here we have 51 bars. So basically here we have enough bars to say that this is a T plus 5. But also in this case, if this is a T plus 5 that turn it into a positive one, here we have definitely a lot of days to proceed to the rally. Okay, we have reached now a duration of 81 bars, but we can extend the rally if that is a T plus 5 until 190, which goes by end of April 2025. Given that here also for the others we have definitely broken this cycle after not so many bars, I would tend to be careful, and therefore I would consider this as a T plus 4 slash T plus 5, which means that this is going to reduce the number of days in which we can extend the rally. So here we have reached 81 days, but considering that as not a T plus 5 but a T plus 4, so 6-month cycle, the minimum duration would be 94 bars. So therefore here we can proceed to the rally in a safe mode, let's say until the 12th of December 2024. Okay. Second consideration is that now we have reached mostly the maximum duration for a T plus 3. So here we have 82 days, we can proceed to 89. So also in this case, as for the others, we can have a prosecution to the tops until the 4th of December 2024, but you have to bear in the back of your mind that a T plus 3 is about to finish, and therefore after the T plus 3 we can have a retracement that we have to monitor over time to begin another upward cycle. Whether this is a T plus 1, T plus 2, T plus 3, now we cannot say it, because here the rally or the trend is really solid to the upside. So after a T plus 4 is not given by fact that we can have another T plus 4, but we might have a T plus 3 or T plus 2. Then the breaks of the swings will tell us more in the future, but you have to now starting be aware that a retracement might be possible by the beginning of next week or the week after, as I said also for the other banks. Considering the total duration of this T plus 5, here we have 270 days, perfect, in line with the others. So the retracement that might happen in the next weeks will allow also to develop the tail of the T plus 5 in order to close the cycle like this, okay? Considering the key targets here, if we wanted to have a more let's say midterm overview, one of the key level is $530 and the second one is $483.22. Okay. The first swing to monitor by next week is this one at $575. So let's see whether next week we will start having downtrend going lower this low. And the second one will be this one that was made on the 4th of November, and the value is $510. Okay. Considering also the downward cycles more on the midterm, here we have close T plus 3 after 64 days. So here we can update the chart, and from this low to here we have reached 11 days. So basically from this low we have started just a weekly cycle. Okay. This is all for Citi, for global Goldman Sachs. So similar situation as for the others, which means that we have to be careful for retracement that might start either next week or in 2 weeks eventually, and we will have to monitor over time where the strengths of the downtrend, whether the downtrend will be just on the short term or even more into the mid-term, allowing the development of T plus 3, T plus 4, so 3 months or 6 months upward cycles. So this is all also for Goldman Sachs. I hope that I gave you valuable information and insights for free. So if you like our videos, feel free to share with your friends or those that you know that might be that might have such stocks in the portfolio, or eventually traders or those that are doing more short-term investments. If you wanted to support our job, you can put a like and subscribe to our channel to get notified as soon as possible regarding the analysis that we issue on a regular basis. I also remind you that if you wanted to have ad hoc analysis that we do not publish on this YouTube channel, you can write us at tradomica@gmail.com in order to have more information about our prices regarding customizable analysis to the on the stocks that you will. Thanks for watching and see you to the next episode.